Andy Mitchell. Andy, take your time.
Thank you. I can't quite follow that. Among the suggested changes to benefits is pushing more disabled people into the conditionality and sanctions regime. So I thought it appropriate to share a clipped version of my story. It's a few years since I was sanctioned, but the impact of it lives with me every day. I was made redundant, and when I ran out of money, I claimed benefit. I thought I was doing the right things to find work, but the staff at DWP thought differently. And over Christmas, I was sanctioned. Last year, over 600,000 sanctions were handed out by the DWP, and we now have 7.4 million people on universal credit. That's about 1 in 5 of the working age population. At the time, I only had £5 in my pocket, so when I ran out of electricity, I could not pay for more. I quickly ran out of food, and after a few days only drinking water, I lost control of my bowel and became quite ill. I considered myself to be a strong man before this, but within a few weeks I'd fallen apart, and at some point I had a breakdown. A couple of weeks after that, I was in hospital after an attempted suicide. And for months after that, I was closely monitored by the community mental health team. I still have mental health problems today. I put on a lot of weight and developed physical health problems. I now have diabetes and live with pain constantly. Depression and anxiety have become an unwelcome companion, and at times they paralyse me. I used to be very outgoing and energetic, but now the NHS describe me in letters as clinically vulnerable, and life is very different. The job centre were the people that actually advised me to claim disability benefit, but it's not easy to get it. Despite all the evidence and support from my doctor, I was turned down twice, and every time I've had to appeal. It really takes it out of you. I'm actually waiting for the outcome of a PIP mandatory reconsideration at the moment, as they're planning to take the car away. On social media, one woman told me that she almost had her child taken away after she became ill after a sanction for missing an appointment. Another said he couldn't afford to heat his home and ended up spending weeks in hospital after his PIP was stopped. These are stories I hear time and time again. They're events that shape lives. Last year, DPAC raised enough money to give a copy of John Pring's new book to all 650 MPs. His book, The Department, shows how the DWP and government austerity harmed benefit claimants. It also exposes how the DWP ignored pleas to correct fatal flaws in the social security system and covered up its role in the deaths of disabled people. Now, just months after that book was published, the government are proposing to cut billions from disability benefits and move millions more into the conditionality and sanctions regime. Over the weekend, I saw a list of disabilities that would be affected by the cuts. Spina bifida, dementia and cancer are all among them. Liz Kendall and Alison McGovern have said in interviews that unlike their predecessors, they want to treat claimants with dignity and respect. The Prime Minister described the proposed changes to the benefit system as morally right. But what is moral about cutting money for 118,000 cancer patients and pushing millions more into deepening poverty? These proposals show no respect to disabled people and are completely undignified, especially from a party that claims to care about equality and fairness. In reaction to what ministers have said recently, there are disabled people who are so frightened they're talking about suicide. You can see it in Facebook groups and all over social media. For anyone who has claimed benefits, it is obvious that things do need to change. But if my example is anything to go by, then clearly cuts and more conditionality is not what is needed. We all deserve to be treated so much better than is being offered to us today. My real fear, though, that if Labour continues along this path, There will be more victims and more books like the department written in the future. That's why we need MPs to stand with us now, so that the Labour government acts on our concerns. Thank you.